Hi guys, today I wanted to do a breakdown of the classes currently available in Project Diamond. The game is very new and is only in the closed alpha stages of its development, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of these classes changed in the coming weeks. The Prophecy team has even stated that the name of the game will change before its official release. So with all that being said, let's dive into the video. So if you don't know, Project Diamond is described as being a 3v3 third-person class-based sports shooter. That's a mouthful. Basically, the game is soccer but with guns, and first to 5 goals wins. In the game, there are 3 different types of classes, along with 3 different characters available in each class. First, we have strikers. Strikers are basically a light class, who have high speed and loadouts best suited for scoring and DPS. Phoenix is the first striker class character. His primary attack is an auto pistol with a high rate of fire, and it works best in close range combat. His secondary attack is an incendiary round that does damage over time for 4 seconds. Each class also has a utility ability, and for Phoenix that's a fire grenade, which is basically a CC ability that creates a pool of fire on the ground where it's cast. For a movement ability, Phoenix can literally fly, and when used he will thrust up into the air with increased speed for a short time. Every character has a passive ability, and for Phoenix that's a 50% speed buff. Up next is a character that so far is probably tied for my favorite class in the game, and his name is Hornet. This guy is so fun. He uses a revolver as his primary attack with I believe 6 shots in the magazine, which deals really good damage at pretty much any range. I will say though that Hornet is a more skill-based character than the other 2 strikers because he uses a semi-auto revolver instead of a more spammy pistol. His secondary attack is a knockback shot that deals knockback damage in a small AoE. Hornet's utility is a plasma orb that slowly moves when cast and detonates in a large AoE for massive damage. For movement, Hornet has a thrust pack that creates a forward burst of speed. As I mentioned before, every character gets a passive ability, but what I forgot to mention is that in order for the passive to be activated, the player must be on fire. Each class has the same passive ability and all the characters in that class share it. So since Hornet is a striker, he gets Blitz, which grants a 50% movement speed buff. The last character in the striker class is Fox. Fox uses a 3-round burst pistol that does great close range damage. His secondary attack is a slow rocket, which slows down enemies for a short time. For utility, Fox is a smoke bomb that creates a cloud when cast that can obscure the enemy's vision. Fox's movement ability is Stealth. When activated, Stealth makes Fox go invisible and increases movement speed. And like all strikers, Fox's passive ability is Blitz, which increases movement speed by 50% when the player is on fire. The next class in the game is Interceptor. Interceptors are essentially a medium class, having 300 more HP than strikers and slightly slower movement speed. Up first for this group we have Wyvern. He uses a grenade launcher that excels at displacing enemies as well as dealing damage. Wyvern's secondary attack is a sticky grenade that attaches to whatever you aim at and explodes for a large amount of damage. For utility, Wyvern has a suspension grenade that launches the target into the air and stuns them for a brief period of time. Wyvern's movement ability is called Teleport Grenade, which basically is a grenade that you can teleport to once thrown. The on fire passive for interceptors is called Quicken, which grants a 50% ability cooldown reduction. The second character in the Interceptor class is Falcon. He uses a rocket launcher for his primary attack. Falcon's secondary attack is called Pinpoint Rocket, which shoots a second rocket that deals high damage if you get a direct hit. For utility, he has an ability called Rocket Enhancer, which increases the damage of the rocket launcher for 5 seconds. Falcon's movement is a jetpack. Once activated, the player receives a strong vertical boost into the air. The Interceptor on fire passive applies to Falcon and grants him a 50% ability cooldown reduction when active. The last Interceptor is named Fury, and he's currently my favorite character in the game, and possibly the most overpowered. Fury uses an assault rifle as his primary attack, which deals an insane amount of damage. His secondary attack is an impact fuse rocket, which detonates on impact. For utility, Fury has an anti-throw grenade, which takes away a player's ability to shoot the ball if hit. Fury's movement is a phase pack, which makes the player immune to damage for its duration, but also unable to shoot. And of course, Fury gets Quicken, the on-fire passive for Interceptors, which grants a 50% ability cooldown reduction. The last class left to talk about is the Brute. Brutes have the most HP in the game, but are also the slowest. The first character in the Brute class is called Viper, who uses a Venom Blaster, which seems to be this game's equivalent of a sniper rifle. Viper's secondary attack is called Toxic Burst, which is a deadly toxic explosive that's capable of significant damage and knockback. For utility, Viper has Poison Nova, which is a chemical bomb that damages enemies and heals allies. Relocate is the name of Viper's movement ability, which lets you melt into liquid poison and reconstitute at the specified location. The on-fire passive for Brutes is called Juggernaut, which increases the player's health by 50% when active. The second Brute class character is named Rhino, and is in my opinion probably one of, if not the weakest characters currently in the game. He uses a chain gun, which has a large magazine but deals fairly low damage. For his secondary attack, Rhino has Gladiator Rocket, which causes 3 expanding explosions on impact. Rhino's utility is called Lightning Blast, which creates an explosion of lightning around him and deals damage while also stunning enemies. Lightning Dash is the name of Rhino's movement ability, and causes the player to lunge forward while leaving a trail of burning flames in their midst that deal damage. Rhino also benefits from the Brute on-fire passive called Juggernaut, which buffs total health by 50% when active. Our last character to cover is the Brute known as Kraken. Kraken uses a hydro cannon, which fires an arcing watery projectile that explodes on impact. For his secondary attack, Kraken has Water Burst Shot, which is an explosive shot that delivers a strong knockback over a large area. Kraken's utility is called Water Shield, which creates a stationary, impenetrable barrier around his location. Leap is Kraken's movement ability, which quite literally leaps him forward, and also deals damage to targets while also stunning them. And finally, Kraken can gain a 50% overall health buff while on fire, due to the Brute passive ability called Juggernaut. To end the video, I wanted to show you guys some gameplay from this past weekend's playtest. Here I play Fury, and this might have been my best game so far, so I hope you all enjoy.